You know, sometimes you just got to shake things up a bit. Well, that was our thinking with this series. So we asked a bunch of the artists who've been on several of the reunions to ask someone to join them who had never been to a Country's Family reunion. And wow, they did not disappoint. New faces, some of your favorite artists from shows past, all sharing great new songs and stories. And more importantly, themselves. When the cameras get rolling, these friends forget they're being taped, and the end result, well, it's magic. Yes, sir, we wanted to shake things up and let things roll. Well, that's exactly what we got with this show. We're calling it Kickin' Back. So why don't you do the same? Kick back and relax as we present Country's Family Reunion, Kickin' Back.
Kicking back on this edition of Country's Family Reunion. In our, by the way, we spared no expense on these lawn chairs for this event.
Okay, how many
Bingham
folks
and the
love
people
these
that,
chairs better than the old rocking chairs that pinch your butt every time you move?
Hey, Bill.
These need to stay.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, T.
These chairs, my great aunt had these chairs on her front porch, and the only thing different than these, hers had about 5 coats of paint on them. You know,
Yeah, we had them too. I was going to thank Fred Bingham and the people at Crosley. You know, Crosley, they make all these I didn't know they made lawn furniture, but they do. Yeah, so we thank them for this. Ricky Skaggs, you got one of your older band members up there with you?
Yeah, he's like 35. He just lived a hard life.
That's what this business will do to you.
This is Carson Peters, fiddling Carson Peters.
All right.
And he is so incredibly talented. And, you know, when me and Terry Choate was talking about being on this, me being involved in this, you know, he said, just get somebody that just kind of blows your mind, just had blown you away, you know. And I said, okay, well, if I can get him out of school, get him down here. So.
Are you playing hooky today, Carson?
Yes, sir.
Are you? What grade you in?
I'm in 7th grade.
And 13?
Yes, sir.
13 years old. Started playing the fiddle at what age?
I started when I was 3 1/2.
Goodness gracious. How could you even hold one at 3 1/2?
We had it. It was a 1/8 size fiddle. It was about from the end to end. It was probably about as far as this right here. And, I mean, I was about as big as it was, so it was kind of tough. But we got lessons and been practicing a lot.
How'd you meet Ricky Skaggs?
About 3 years ago, I think yesterday was the exact 3 years ago, we opened up for Ricky in Knoxville at the Bijou Theater. And after the show and everything, when we were signing autographs and selling CDs and stuff, he came over and he says, Carson, have you played the Opry? I said, no, sir. He says, well, we're gonna fix that. What are you doing next week? So he took me to the Opry, and I made my Opry debut. That was super awesome, and we've been friends ever since.
Now, you say we were playing at the theater. You have your own band?
Yeah, I do. It's Carson Peters and Iron Mountain is the name of the band. We got 3 people under 18, so that makes it interesting. But my dad's in the band, and another guy's dad. They keep us in line, I guess, or we keep them in line sometimes. It depends.
One of the times he was on the Opry, though, I caught him in my dressing room. Well, it's not my dressing room. We all know it's Mr. Acuff's dressing room. It's the dressing room I was very honored to be able to, share that night. And I caught the little stinker in there stealing my chicken tenders.
The chicken that you offered me.
I don't know.
You said, I came in the dressing room, I said, Mr. Gatlin, it's a pleasure to meet you. And you said, hey, we got some chicken over here if you want to borrow it. And I said, oh, I'm good, thank you, though. And then about 30 minutes later, since I'm a growing boy, I was like, I'm hungry. I'm going to see if Mr. Gatlin's got some chicken.
Hey, there's a statute of limitation on chicken tenders. It's about 15 minutes, and it was after the period, because
Wow, that's hilarious. Well, Carson, I gather that this is what you want to do with your life. You want to play music.
Yes, sir.
Well, you've sure got the God-given talent to do it. Is bluegrass the kind of music you want to play? Or?
Yeah, bluegrass, and I play a lot of different genres of music. one of my friends sings opera, and she wanted me to come up and back her up for one of her recitals. So that was interesting. I played a lot of genres of music. So.
Wow. You may smile too much to be in bluegrass music.
They're right here.
You do know how you know when your mandolin player is level-headed? The drool comes out of both sides of his mouth equal at once. We need to take that off the TV show right
Hang
there.
on, I don't. You got a pretty good. Okay.
What I meant was banjo.
Not you. No, that doesn't work either.
Ricky, I asked Mr. Monroe one time when I was doing the Opry backstage television show, I said, Mr. Monroe, why is it that bluegrass musicians have the reputation of not smiling? I said, is there any truth to the rumor that if one of the guys in your band smiles that you'll fire him? And he didn't crack a smile. He said, we take our music seriously. And that was all he had to say. And I understood.
Well, he did. Yeah, but he started smiling a lot more in his later years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he was a wonderfully warm human being when you got to know him. Speaking of him, I think you're going to do one of his classic songs.
We are, and old Carson's going to sing the one that brought him to the Grand Ole Opry. Yeah, and you know, I'll finish this story with Carson. When I asked him to come to the Opry, I talked to Pete Fisher, the general manager at that time, and I said, "Man, this kid blew me away last weekend up in Knoxville." And I said, "I'd really love for him to just come to the Opry sometime." And he said, "Well, maybe the best thing to do would be just have him come and sit in with with Kentucky Thunder, your band, and." You just have him come out as a guest, And I said, okay, well, we can do that. So I called Carson. He was fine with that. And well, now that he just he got 2 or 3 standing ovations on his first night, they never call me anymore for, hey, is Carson available? It's just like they just bypass and just go right. They got him on speed dial now. So. But I'm so proud of him because not only is he an incredible musician, but he loves God. And he loves his family, and he raises chickens, and he plays baseball.
Well, bring some of them, okay?
Yeah. No, he knows you'll cook them up. No. And but he's just, he's an abnormal, normal kid, and not a kid anymore. He's grown up, but he's got a great mom and dad that keep him, grounded, and so I love that about him. He's not ashamed, to tell people who is where his gift come from, and what his heart is about. So
that's
I
terrific.
love that.
Carson, welcome.
Yeah.
Y'all do some picking.
All right.
Shine on the one that's gone and proved untrue. Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gone and left me blue. It was on a moonlit night, the stars were shining bright, and you whispered from on high, your lover said goodbye. Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gone. shining. Shine on the one that's gonna prove untrue. Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gonna let me through. It was on a moonlit night that started shining bright. A whisper from on high, your love sang about. Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gonna let me through. Thank you.
Ricky, that's got to bring back memories to you because you were playing on with Flat and Scruggs and when you were like, what, 7 or 8 years old, right?
7 with Flat and Scruggs, and the year before that, yes, the year before that, when I was 6, I got a chance to play with Mr. Monroe up in Martha, Kentucky, real close to where I'm from. And the neighbors in the hood had seen me and my mom and dad singing at church and Butler's grocery store.
Well, it turned out awfully good for you. Would you recommend starting at a young age like you did and like Carson has done?
Yeah, you know, my dad, I thought, was really, really wise to get me started on a mandolin because it was a small instrument, fit my little 5-year-old bony frame when he brought it to me. I'm glad he didn't bring me a big long neck guitar or banjo or something like that. I may have lost interest in it, you know. But because it was small and because it fit me, and, you know, I think that was the right call. And I think, you know, a violin, yeah, maybe you should tell Mr. Bill the difference between a fiddle and a violin, because a lot of folks, you know, they kind of get it mixed up. They think they're both the same. So
a violin has strings and a fiddle has strings.
Makes sense.
now, are you clear on that?
I'm very clear.
But you know, I think starting on a small instrument like that is a great thing. Now, you know, piano is a whole different thing because a lot of young kids that start on piano, it doesn't really matter because the piano's not going to move. You know, you're just standing there playing. You know, but with a violin or a mandolin, you know, it's I think a small instrument for a child to start is really good.
I found out one thing about Carson that I love his music, and I've introduced him on the Opry, but I've found out a couple things about him in the last couple of days. You said something about he loves baseball. Mm-hmm. He's a big Atlanta Braves fan, which earns him points with me, and he's a big Tennessee Titans football fan. Mm-hmm. So you and I are cheering for the same teams, pal, and you know a lot about it because I was asking him yesterday who the Titans ought to draft in the upcoming, and he starts telling me all these players and how big they are and how much they weigh.
Well, he could be a bookie, I guess, but I don't think he wants to do that. And
well, you know, the book is very small, and when you're a child, it fits your hand, and you can write.
But he wasn't running down my Kentucky Wildcats yesterday, but he was telling me that he didn't think they was going to live long.
Hey,
so
Bill.
Turn
Rhonda's trying to get your attention.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Bill.
Rhonda.
I just wanted to say, back when Carson was young, he joined us at my home church in Greentop, Missouri. We did an all-gospel CD, and Carson came. Were you 7?
I think I was, yeah.
So I met Carson because he lives over where my fiddle player is from, over around Elizabeth. What is the town that you live in?
I live in Piney Flats, Tennessee. It's right next to Bristol, Tennessee.
And Hunter lives over in Elizabethton, so he was familiar. He came to a show. So there is a YouTube video of Carson and Bob Saxton joined us on that, who has now passed. So it's kind of a neat video. So check that out. I think of Amazing Grace. So.
Now, you started pretty young, too. How old were you when you started?
I did. Singing when I was 3, playing when I was 8, I guess. So, yeah.
You agree with Ricky about the small instrument? Did you start on the mandolin?
I think, yeah, I did. Well, I started on the snare drum first. I think that was, in a big family, that was the only instrument that wasn't taken, I think, is why I got that for my 6th birthday. But truly playing when I was 8. And you know, playing the that was by necessity. We were at a country music show, and the musicians each got $10 each Saturday night. And they decided anyone who did not play an instrument, I was just singing, and anyone who didn't play an instrument didn't get paid. My dad said, here's the mandolin, here's G, C, and D, and you're going to play this for 2.5 hours every Saturday night. So got started by that.
The magic words.
Yeah. So I don't think I ever saw that $10, though. It's yeah.
Need to talk to Mama.
Yes, I guess so. But anyway, big fan of Carson's and so proud of him.
Yeah.
How about, you're going to do an instrumental, I think, aren't you?
Yes,
guys?
sir. I think we're going to do a little bit of wheelhouse, sir.
Come on, son. We just decided we'd let the band just kind of like go to lunch on this one. Is that right? Just take a little break. So, all right.
1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you.
That's good, buddy. It's great, Carson.
Hey, you can come eat my chicken tenders anytime you want to.
Fiddlin' Carson Peters. That's terrific, buddy. You're great. Just terrific. Ricky, thank you so much for bringing him, man. Oh, goodness gracious. He is terrific. Jimmy Fortune, could you do that when you were 13 years old?
Son, ain't no way I could ever do that in a million years. I got to tell you, I met him a few years ago too, and Carson came to a show I was doing, and he said he loved the song "I Believe" that I wrote some years back, and I got him to sing it for me, and I tell you, he just knocked me in the creek with his singing. I mean, with singing that song and playing it on the fiddle. He's an incredible talent and a fine, like Ricky said, a fine young man who loves the Lord.
Yes, he is. Great to have you here with us, very much so. And you brought a special guest today, Jimmy.
Yes, I did. This young man sitting next to me right here, Mr. Phil Vassar, young man. He's a Virginia boy, and we go back a long ways. His daddy actually had a band called the Lancers from a place called Amherst, Virginia, and they used to come play our proms, and he was one of the best bands in the area. We always just admired the band and how good they were. And, of course, later on in years, after I was with the Statler Brothers for a couple of years, I guess it was, I had a cousin of mine, which is here today somewhere, Eddie Witt. He's a coach at JMU University, which Phil happened to be there going to the university, and it was his coach. He called me up. He said, I got a young man I want you to hear. He said, can I bring him by your house? I want you to hear him. And I said, yeah, bring him by. So he came down to Stanton, which is where we lived, and I went to the door, and he said, I want to introduce you to a fellow by the name of Mr. Phil Vassar. And he said, I want you to hear him play. He said, he's a great athlete. He said, and maybe give him some advice, you know, about the music business. So.
You said stay in school.
Yeah. No.
Don't ever leave college.
I said, well, come on in, and
right.
We went downstairs, and I had a piano downstairs and in my basement, and I hadn't finished the basement yet, so these rafters were like there. So Phil's first thing he does is gets up and starts swinging across those rafters. He's going across them. I said, well, he's got a lot of energy. I know that. And so he gets on the piano, and he began to play the piano, and he began to sing, And I just sat there mesmerized, and I said, I've never seen someone with so much talent and his abilities. And he starts playing another song. I said, where did that come from? He said, well, I just wrote it. And I'm like, well, what in the world? I mean, he said, so Eddie said, what do you think? What do you think? I said, well, it's no question. This guy's got so much talent. And he said, what would you tell him to do? I said, go to Nashville, go down there and hang out with some of the best singers and the best pickers and the best songwriters there are. And I said, you can own that town. And that's exactly what he did. And he came down, and before you know it, I'm seeing Phil Vassar everywhere and seeing him on records, Tim McGraw, Joe DiMessina, many others, and the rest is history, because later on, so 30 years later, the Statler brothers retire, right? And I called Phil up, and I said, Phil, the Statlers are retiring. I said, I don't know what to do, man. I said, I don't know if I should continue on or what I should do. And he said, I'll tell you what to do. Come to Nashville, hang out.
That happened, didn't it?
And it happened that way.
It really did.
But one of the finest young men I've ever met in my life, and to be the way he is and as humble as he is, and to have the talent that he is, I'm just proud to have him as my guest today.
Phil, great to have you here, buddy.
I mean, great songwriters. I mean, some of my heroes are in this room, right? I mean, these singer-songwriters.
I know.
I know you did. Let me tell you what, Glenn Campbell's one of my heroes.
I'm human just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got to ask you now. He said you were at JMU, that's James Madison University. What sport were you playing?
I ran track.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thought maybe you was out there knocking heads with the football players.
Oh, yeah. I did that too, though.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but that was different. It was at the
All of us who MC shows and introduce people like at the Opry and various places, we have all, and Celia, you can vouch for this, we've all made mistakes, Larry, all that. We introduce people and things don't come out exactly the way. The most classic introduction in the history of country music was the night he was introduced on the Opry by Porter Wagner. Have you ever heard that story? You ever heard this story?
I know the story, yes. Can't
wait. Porter was, you're out there and you got a million things on your mind, number one, and you're trying to do everything right. And he went to introduce Phil Vassar and couldn't remember his name. And this was long before they used to give us the little cards that we could read in case we forget. So Laurie's nodding, you've been there too. Yeah. And Porter goes to introduce, and Porter's a wonderful MC and has introduced millions of people, and he goes to introduce Phil Vassar, and his mind goes blank. And here's a great singer and great musician, and he's reaching for his name, and one of his band members realizes that Porter does not remember his name, so he walks over behind Porter, and he says, Phil Vassar, Phil Vassar. And Porter says, here he is, folks, give him a nice hand, Sylvester. So you will always be Sylvester at the Grand Ole
I know, and I was like, who? What are you saying? Oh, anyway, it was great.
So what did you just go ahead and sing?
I was like, I guess he means me, right? It was funny. God.
Jimmy, how about you doing a song, and then we'll get Phil to do one?
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm going to get Phil to come up and do it with me. I got a song that, this song is going to be on my new record. It'll be out April 21st. But it's a Michael Martin Murphey song called Wildfire.
Oh,
and
God, yeah.
Phil's got a little girl, and I've got three little girls, and they used to get me to do this song when they were little, and they loved it so much. So we're gonna do that for you, both of them.
I can relate to that because my youngest daughter, one time for Christmas, all she wanted was Michael Martin Murphey's record of Wildfire.
Oh,
and, so it's one of those songs that the little girls like.
And daddies to do anything for them little girls, Let's see.
Whose mic is this?
Yeah.
It's Chesney's.
Little Jimmy Dickens.
Yeah, it's the Jimmy Dickens Memorial.
That was supposed to be mine.
Oh, is that it? I didn't get it.
Somebody's got a grip,
Tough
man.
room.
Hey, grab it off of there. Grab it up off of there thing.
Well, you said Jimmy Dickens, the little microphone. One more Roger Millerism. He said, I've had little Jimmy Dickens up to here.
Had a little Jimmy. Awesome. I tell you, little Jimmy Dickens, I admired him so much, but every time I ever went to do the Opry, he'd always walk up and say, I love your singing, son. And I never forgot that. I mean,
We all do.
What a wonderful
man.
person. You know, the fact that somebody knows my name in this town, I can't believe it. That's the honest truth about that. But
Please, Jimmy.
honored to be here. Thank y'all so much.
Don't forget our store down below where you can get Country's Family Reunion and Larry's Country Diner product.
She comes down from Yellow Mountain on a dark flat land she rides on a pony she named Wildfire, with a whirlwind by her side on a cold Nebraska night.
Oh, they say she died one winter when there came a killing frost, and the police she named Wildfire busted down his stall. In a blizzard she was lost.
She ran calling wildfire. She ran calling wildfire. She ran calling wildfire. By the dark of the moon, I planted, but there came an early snow. There's been a hoot owl howling by my window now for 6 nights in a row. She's coming for me, I know. That old wildfire, we're both gonna go. And we'll be riding wildfire. We'll be riding wildfire. We'll be riding wildfire. Oh, wildfire, we're gonna ride her. We're gonna leave side busting behind. Get these hard times right on out of our minds. Riding What about this band back here, ladies and gentlemen? They just teared it up. I mean, it's so awesome. Thank y'all
great.
so much.
Jimmy Fortune and Sylvester.
Sylvester.
That was mighty good. That's the first time I've ever seen you sing, unless you were sitting at the piano.
I know.
You're usually,
Oh, really?
Are you gonna play piano on this on your other song?
They're gonna let me.
They're gonna let you.
They're gonna let me. Yeah. He's like, no, don't touch this piano. But yeah, I'm not doing it.
You did something I mentioned a while ago when Carson was up here. I mentioned something about the Tennessee Titans, and for several football seasons, you would play from up in a little perch in the end zone at the stadium, and you did like a little mini concert up there at those football guys. That's got to be a tough thing to do.
It was fun. I mean, they let us, I tried to get a bunch of my buddies to come up, Gretchen and, whoever, and Dirks, and but we just play between halftime shows, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had a good time, Kev Mo. I mean, we had all kinds of folks come up and jam with us.
Yeah, well, you made a lot of good music. Of course, a big stadium, that's a terribly hard place to perform.
It was great, though.
But you did a
good
you did
cheese
a great
dogs.
job.
Am I playing again, or am I just leaving? What am I? Is this the part I dance? I dance now, right?
No, this is where you sing, and then you dance.
Oh, okay.
You got to go back and get on the piano.
Oh, I do now? Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, seriously. Everybody look at me like he's crazy, man. What's wrong with him? I swear I don't do drugs at all. Never. All right, let's do, I'm gonna do a song. This was a big hit for me, and I wrote this with my good friend, Craig Wiseman, and I wrote this song, and we, it really came out of a true story. This, my kitchen flooded and became an indoor pool because the hose had come out of my washing machine and flooded the kitchen, and Craig ran out of gas on the way. The song almost never got written, but really became a really big hit for me. And I actually, when I was in LA, my label called and they said, "Look, we really need you to do a song on this Just Another Day in Paradise song." And I said, "Okay, I'll do that." And they said, "But we need you to do it Thursday, like this coming Thursday." So I had to get video treatments, and I was out there riding with Mac Davis at the time, and Mac said, "Okay, well, I got a good foursome at Bel Air Country Club on Thursday, and you and me, and I'll get a couple of guys to play with us." And so anyway, it came up to Wednesday, and I said, "Well, look, Mike, I can't play tomorrow." And he said, "I got to shoot a video," and we shot it at Leo Carrillo on the beach in Malibu. And then he said, "Well, you just missed having golf with James Garner and Bob Newhart and me," and that's who the foursome was going to be. So anyway, so I had to do this silly video where I'm. Anyway, let's do it. Just Another Day in Paradise. I'm gonna. Kids screaming, the phone ringing, the dog barking at the mailman bringing that stack of bills overdue. Well, good morning, baby, how are you? We got a half hour, a quick shower. I take a drink of milk, but the milk's gone sour. My funny face, it makes you laugh. I twist the top on and I put it back. Well, there goes the washing machine. Baby, don't kick it, promise I'll fix it, along about a million other things. It's okay, it's so nice, it's just another day in paradise. Well, there's no place that I'd rather be. It's two hearts and one dream, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And I ask the Lord every night, just another day in paradise. Yeah. It's Friday and you're late. I guess we'll never make our dinner date. At the restaurants, you start to cry. Baby, we'll just improvise. Well, plan B, it looks like Domino's pizza in the candlelight. Then we'll tip you to our room. Make a little love that's overdue. Somebody had a bad dream. Mama and Daddy, give me my teddy. Come in and sleep in between. Yeah, it's okay, it's so nice. It's just another day in paradise. Well, there's no place that I'd rather be. It's two hearts and one Thank y'all for having me today. This is unbelievable.
Great job, Phil. Phil Vassar. Jimmy, you done good. Thank you for bringing Phil with you.
Well, I tell you, when we used to do the Statler Brothers show, we were down here. Phil had his own place, a restaurant down here, and they used to play. And after the shows, I'd go down and sit in with him and play.
Really?
Yeah.
He's terrific. The sign says, "Kicking back, a special gathering of good friends." Jeannie Seeley, that includes you.
Well,
With every family reunion show that you
20
and I have
years,
done
Bill.
for 20 years, and for at least 19 and a half of them, we've tried to get the lady that you've brought with you today. You finally got her here, so
Finally
thank
talked
you.
her into it.
Lori Morgan.
I am so thrilled to have her. So
Lori,
thrilled.
I've thought many times over the 20 years that we've done these shows, how much fun it would have been to have your dad here.
Oh, my God.
George Morgan. For those of you that didn't know George, and those of you that did, one of the most incredible human beings.
Yes, he
could
was.
have you absolutely laughing, and tears running down your face, and the next minute have you crying those
I know.
same tears. He was an amazing
And we
human
miss
being.
him every day. Every day, my family misses Dad, and and I can't. Every time I go to the Opry, I remember all the laughing that used to go on backstage between Dad and Archie Campbell, and remember the ugly list that Dad had?
Yes,
My dad had an ugly list. For those of you who don't know, he had, and it was serious. He had a list that he posted every week at the Opry. Jimmy Capps, you remember this?
Well, you weren't anybody unless you were on George Morgan's
Hey,
ugly
right.
list.
That's the
Yes.
truth. And he would come to the Opry and he would put who he thought was ugly on the list. And it didn't matter if he had offended you or not. And people would check it. They'd go by and check. And if you were on it, people came by and were like, "Hey, congratulations, man! You finally made the ugly list." And he
Now,
was
is that looking ugly or acting ugly?
looking.
Looking. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever he decided.
Whatever. Yeah, it didn't matter. But Hal Durham made it a lot on there.
Yeah.
And I tell you, you remember Stu Phillips' drummer, Paul Russell?
Yes.
He was 1 through 9 with a bullet.
Yeah. But I made it one time. But they had.
That was a courtesy
No,
thing.
I was tied. Well, that's when I knew I'd been accepted. I was tied for number 3 with Marty Robbins, and somebody came back and said, "Are you upset? Are you mad about being on the?" I said, "You darn right I am. I deserve a spot of my own. I don't want Marty Robbins sharing my limelight, But that meant you'd made it with him. It was
Yeah,
great.
Paul Russell said, "I haven't had that many friends since kindergarten." He said it just made him real popular at the Opry. And people were like, "Congratulations, man, heard you made the ugly list,"
And the other thing your dad would do, and Archie would do, and I don't want to get too graphic here, but they would come up behind you and goose you.
Yes, I've heard many screams back there. And Dad was pretty bad about things like that, but it was funny. We have a reel-to-reel tape of Archie singing, gosh, can't remember the song, but Dad was goosing him with a drumstick through the whole song. And I'm like, "Mom, how did he get by with that?" She said, "I don't know. They just accepted it, I don't know. I can see Pete Fisher if we walked out there and did that,
Jeannie, how'd you finally get Laurie to come out here? How did you twist her arm?
Actually, this time it wasn't that hard. I guess she got tired of saying no. But I think this was the perfect setting for Lori to do this because, by the way, let me say, I love this concept, what we're doing today. This is special. And maybe she's still a little bit afraid of me, that what I'd do if she said no. I don't know.
I'll volunteer to goose her.
You're too eager.
When Jeannie called me and said,
Kids in the room.
"I need you to do me a favor," and I said, "You got it." I didn't even know what was coming up. And she said, "I want you to do the show with me that we've been trying to get you to do." And I said, I'm available and I can do it. So tell me what to do. Tell me what to wear and tell me what to sing, and I'll be there. I am. Jeannie is my idol, and everybody knows that. I mean, that's just the way it is. So, but she's, she said hop, and I said how high?
She said in an interview one time that she studied me and the Wings growing up at the Opry. So I've told my audiences many times that that's such a compliment to me, but that I owe them an apology, because if I'd have realized she was studying me so much, I'd have acted better, and maybe she'd turned out just a little better. But, I want to say this. I realize many reasons what a fortunate place I am in my life, that I got to get to the Grand Ole Opry in time to get to know and work with her dad, who was one of my heroes, to watch Lori grow up, see her dreams come true, and see the wonderful friend she has become to me. And not long ago, we were all doing a fundraiser show, and I followed her son, Jesse Keith Whitley, on the show, and I stood there and I thought, this is amazing. 3 generations I've had the privilege of knowing him.
And Jesse loves Jeannie. I mean, he's like, Mom, she is so hot.
Now, is he getting into the business full time?
Yeah, he's got a couple meetings with a couple record labels next week, I think, and he's been on the Opry a couple times. Matter of fact, he's going to be on the Opry with me this week, and he works with me on the road. He's opening some shows for me and Pam Tillis, and he's doing really great, and I'm really proud of him. He's his own singer. He sounds a lot like Keith when he wants to, but he wants to be his own, and he's proud of his dad, but he wants just to kind of, he don't want people to compare him all the time, like, well, that wasn't like your dad, and he's, and Jesse.
Nobody else was either.
No, and Jesse will come back with a fist on somebody.
Ricky Skaggs sitting over there smiling. Of course, you and Keith Whitley were childhood buddies.
Yeah, we sure were.
Buddies all along.
Keith loved Ricky.
Yeah.
Have you worked with Jesse?
I've seen him out there, and me and Sharon went to Lori and Keith's house when they brought Jesse home.
Yeah.
And spent the day.
Yeah.
Or spent some time. We didn't spend a whole day, but we came over, and that was a great day.
It was a wonderful
Me and Keith
day.
got in one room of the house and just talked the whole day, and kind of left you guys out, but we just hadn't seen each other in so long.
Thanks for leaving us out there.
No.
Jeannie, you've got a new record out, new album out.
I do. I was laughing. I've worked harder on this CD than anything I've done in many years, because it's a lot of my songwriting catalogs in here. I recorded 14 songs that I have written all through the years that have been recorded by other people, and I'd never done them. But I told somebody after Webster PR had put me through a few weeks of what that's like, and I said, I've decided that doing a CD of this stature is like having kids. You should do this when you're young. You should not wait till this age to do that.
Well, you've gotten a lot of good publicity out of it. I think you're going to sing one of the songs from the album, aren't you?
I am, and this song is so interesting because it's the first one I ever had published or recorded. And I was working as a secretary at Liberty Imperial Records, and I'd stayed after work to use the piano to write this song idea I had. And Eddie Ray, who was a producer for Imperial then, they were looking for material for R&B legend Irma Thomas. And so they called me into the A&R meeting the next day, and I, of course, went in with my little shorthand tablet because I assumed that's what they want me to do. And he said, no, I want you to sing that song you were writing last night. And they played it to Irma, and she liked it. So this goes all the way back to 1963.
Wow, man. Awesome.
And it's called Anyone Who Knows What Love Is Will Understand. run around, even let me down, still I'll be there for you. The world may think I'm foolish, but they can't see you like I can. Oh, but anyone who knows what love is will understand. Anyone, I feel sorry, oh so sorry, for those who pity me, 'cause they just don't know, no, they just don't know how good our love can be. I know to ever let you go would be more than I can stand. Oh, and anyone who knows what love is will understand. World may think I'm foolish, but they can't see you like I can. Oh, but anyone who knows what love is will understand.
Pretty song.
Thank you.
The first one you ever had recorded, you said.
Right, and that song just keeps creeping around. When I decided to record it, I had to refresh my memory. It had been so long, so I Googled it, and it came up that it was played in 3 episodes of a TV show in England called Black Mirror, and I understand, you know, that you can see that on Netflix now. And the girl that did it on there did an awesome job. And I was reading the comments about it, and somebody said, yeah, this is great, but have you heard Samantha Waite sing this song? I'm like, who's Samantha Waite? So I Googled her, and it came up, and she had an email address, so I just sent her an email just to see what would happen. Got the nicest email back from her. The first thing she said, getting your email was like seeing the bicycle under the Christmas tree. I never imagined that I would ever do. But she had just recorded it this past April. And now I'm excited but disappointed too, because this song was in the trailer for the movie Moonlight, which just won Golden Globe and Oscar, and it's not in the movie.
Well, dang.
It's only in the trailer.
Well, the trailer's good too.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, take the trailer.
But still, it would have been pretty
I'm
cool.
sure the
but
trailer
that's-
won some trailer awards.
Yeah,
Jeannie, I love the idea of the background vocals coming in on the top of the song.
there you
Yeah.
That is really unique. I love that.
Yeah, that's
That
old school
was,
business.
well,
That's
1963. Yeah,
I don't think I've ever
that
heard
was great. But Irma Thomas is such a legend, and what a super lady. And every now and then, as we've worked different casinos, she and I'll send a message back and forth, but she is wonderful.
Lori Morgan,
Yes, sir.
I just looked on the list to see what song you're going to sing.
Yes, sir.
Every time I hear you do this song, as much as I like it, as much as I like your record, I get mad. I get hurt. I get upset.
I know.
Do you know why?
I know you do.
Let me tell you a great Nashville story. Larry Gatlin, you'll really appreciate this. Lori was in the studio. She was working up a song of mine called It's Different With You. She was teaching it to the band. They were getting ready to record it. And I mean, this was at the time, Lori Morgan was selling tons and tons of records, and I was so excited. And Norro Wilson, you know Norro, great songwriter, wonderful friend of most everybody in the room. While Lori is working up my song and teaching it to the band, Norro walks into the session. You know how people will do, walks over to Lori and says, "You remember an old song of mine called A Picture of Me Without You that George Jones recorded?" Next thing I knew, my song was on the floor and she was singing this one. And I have never fully forgiven you.
Listen to me. It was not my decision.
Pass the blame.
I'm going to pass the blame to Richard Landis because I wanted to do It's Different With You for years. And
well, feel free to do it anytime you want to.
one time a man sent me an airline ticket, and I met him in Las Vegas.
All right, that's the trailer. That's the tease. It'll never make the record, but it made the trailer.
That's right. It made the trailer.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I love your red guitar, and I love you, and I do love your version of A Picture of Me Without You. I just wish it hadn't happened like it did.
I'm sorry, honey. I really am sorry.
Thank you.
And Daryl Singletary and I just recorded this song, too, as a duet.
Oh, really?
We have
It's a great song.
Oh, awesome. I want to hear that. Yeah.
Hey, Bill, I want to say one more quick thing about Sweet Lori's dad. He wasn't just a funny guy. He was also a very kind guy.
Yes, he was.
He put me on the Ernest Tubb record shop when I was 10 years old.
Bless his heart.
First time I was ever on the Midnight Jamboree. He took me on there.
I thought you're gonna say put me on the beautiful list or something. You are beautiful, Carl.
Oh, God bless you.
Did you ever hear the story about what he did to me and Roger Miller and Johnny Paycheck, who was still Donnie Young at that point?
No.
He took us on a Western tour, the three of us, and we each had one 45 RPM record out. No career, nobody knew who any of us were. And it was the same Roger Miller that y'all were paying tribute to a while ago. And we got out, I remember we were in a little town in New Mexico, and we all would go on the show, and we'd sing a couple of songs and come off, and then George Morgan would go on. George pulled me aside one night. He said, "Anderson, come here a minute. I want to tell you something." He said, "I've been watching you guys. I've been watching Donnie and Roger." And he looked me right in the eye, and he said, "You're going to be the biggest star of the three." And I said, "Wow, thank you, sir." He said, "Do you know why you're going to be the biggest star of the three?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Because in the history of country music, you're the only guy I've ever seen that can hit an E chord on your guitar and come in singing in the key of C." He crushed me. But I loved him.
And he was right.
Hey, he was right. Darn right he was right. That's why it hurt. Sing us that song, Lori.
Sometimes the truth hurts, doesn't it?
Wow, that is so funny, man.
I just really have to say what an honor it is to see all of y'all. I mean, I am a fan of everybody's, and I think that's what makes me love music so much is that, you know, I love everybody's style. Where I don't care who it is, and to be here with Jeannie, you know, she's just been my idol ever since I was a little girl, and I used to watch her come in and what clothes she had on for the Opry and what she was wearing and how she was acting
And that swagger.
and she always had that microphone right here like this. Your hand. And I was like, I'm going to do that when I get a microphone. Okay, guys. that young world where no music was playing, and think of a church with nobody praying. If you've ever looked up at a sky with no blue, you've seen a picture of me without you. Have you walked in a garden where nothing was growing, or stood by a river where nothing was flowing? If you've seen a red rose unkissed by the dew, then you've seen a picture of me without you. Can you picture heaven with no angels singing, or a quiet Sunday morning with no church bells ringing? Few light as the heart of a child breaks into. You've seen a picture of me without you. Can you picture heaven with no angels singing, or a quiet Sunday morning with no church bells ringing? If you lost as the heart of a child breaks into, you've seen a picture of me without you. You've seen a picture of me without you. Thank you so much.
Lori Morgan.
Thank
So
you.
good. I think you did the right thing by recording that song.
I
Great
think
song.
so, but I got one more story about Lori in our past.
Oh,
She
boy.
may shoot me for this, but back when she was pregnant with Morgan, her daughter, her husband Ron Gaddis at the time was playing.
I am going to shoot you. You're right.
Was playing bass for me. And it was like a week or two before Morgan was born, and Lori was called, and she was just down in the dumps, and she said, "Oh, Celie, I'm just fat. I am just fat, and I'll always be fat." And I'd said all the kind things that I could think to say to make her feel better. And finally I said, Morgan, Morgan, I called her. I said, "You are not fat. You are pregnant. You did not get this way by eating."
Well, how are you going to explain it now?
Well, wonderful. Her friendship was one I just treasure.
Thank you.
Now I learned to dress from her.
Well, Lori, I hope you've had enough fun today that you'll come back
Oh,
again.
I'm coming. You're not going to be able to keep me away.
John Rich, you mentioned a name that is a big name in country music history. And yet, for some reason, I don't know if people don't remember. They remember his song. I don't know if they really remember Johnny Horton. You said he was one of your dad's favorites?
Well, my granddaddy, too. So my grandfather was a World War II vet, and he had his big sister lie about his age and say he was 17. I say he was 18 when he was only 17 because he wanted to go fight in World War II. He said he had cousins coming back and neighbors and uncles and people coming back in pine boxes, and he said, I can run, I can jump, I can shoot, why can't I go fight? So he went over and became a tunnel rat in World War II, which was, he was about 5'2", 115 pounds, sent him into a cave with a flamethrower and a grenade belt to flush the Japanese out the other side of the cave. He got 6 Purple Hearts throughout World War II, was hooked on morphine for 2 years after he got back home to Pampa, Texas, up in the Panhandle. So he was everybody's got somebody like that in their family they've known or they do know or remember. And so Johnny Horton, to my granddaddy, called him Papa Rich. Johnny Horton, nobody was as good as Johnny Horton because why? Because Johnny Horton would sing about battles, Sink the Bismarck, Battle of New Orleans, Johnny Reb about the Civil War, and Jim Bridger, and he would sing all these historic songs. And he was really the only guy doing that kind of stuff, and he made a big career out of that. And so my dad knew all those songs because his dad loved all those songs. So I sat around hearing them all the time. And by the time it was right when I was learning the Dang Me album, I was learning Johnny Horton songs. And it actually, I think, if I can say this about country music, one of the greatest things I think about country music as a genre is I think we're the only genre that allows songs about our military and about patriotism to actually be on the radio and become hit songs.
There you go.
I don't know of another genre that does that. And so for me, Big Kenny and I have a song called The 8th of November that we wrote about a Vietnam vet from South Dakota that's become like a landmark song in our show. And every night we bring veterans up on stage and read their name, rank, what branch, when they served, and the whole crowd stands up and claps for them. So, when I was thinking about playing this Johnny Horton song, I don't know, I'm a first timer. I didn't know if I could play an extra song, one that I wrote about my granddaddy, because I started thinking about you were going to ask me about why Johnny Horton, but I wrote a song about him called The Man. If you'll give me a minute, I'd like to.
I'll give up another one of my songs.
Okay.
You ain't got another song.
Oh. Poor Larry. You just, you don't see that too often. But anyway, if I can do that, I'd love to do that because honestly, my granddaddy was a major country music fan. World War II, he was over there listening to it, and that's the reason my dad listened to it and the reason I listened to it. And it'd be a big deal. He passed away 10 years ago, so it'd be a big deal. My granny's still alive. Granny Ritt's still alive in Madison City. So she watches these shows. I watch these shows. So it'd be a cool thing if I could do that. Can I do it? Thank you.
Get up first, huh?
Anybody got a capo I can borrow?
I do.
Anybody got a capo on a country music show?
I know, sorry.
I finally have one. I didn't have one yesterday.
Thank you. That's a glittery capo, too. Wow.
Well, I'm all about the bling.
I'll play this one first.
All about the bling. There've been more great ideas for songs floating around here in the last 2 hours.
I wonder if our young fiddle player would want to gig this summer playing a few shows at Big and Rich. I wonder if he'd want to do that.
Oh, man,
we're currently traveling without a fiddle.
I bet he
play
would.
With Big and Rich? No, he said this summer.
Most of our songs only have like 1 or 2 chords. They're real dumb. Anybody can play them. Wouldn't that be? You want to play a fiddle on Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy at some point this summer? We'd love to have you do that. Mr. Skaggs will hook us up.
He wants $1 million.
All right, so this is a song I wrote about my granddaddy, Papa Rich. I'll dedicate it to all the veterans out there. I know there's a lot of them that are going to watch this show, and we appreciate your service. Well, he was one of the millions who signed up to defend us long ago in 1941. When they sucker punched us in Pearl Harbor, he fought under MacArthur, 17, with an Army Thompson gun.
Well, he stormed a lot of beaches, slept in jungles with the leeches. He saw things a young man should never see. And when they shot him in the shoulder, he got back up and he marched forward. Left a lot of brothers dead in Kwajalein. And if it wasn't for the good Lord and the man, there wouldn't be a breath of freedom in this land. But now I see people on my TV taking shots at Uncle Sam. I hope they always remember why they can. 'Cause we'd all be speaking German, living under the flag of Japan, if it wasn't for the good Lord and the man. If it wasn't for the good Lord and the man. Now I'm the grandson of a soldier, and I'd fight the whole world over if duty called and freedom's on the line. But thanks to the greatest generation and the ones still fighting for our nation, I've never had to kill for my way of life. And if it wasn't for the good Lord and the man, there wouldn't be a breath of freedom in this land. But now I see people on my TV taking shots at Uncle Sam. I hope they always remember why they can. 'Cause we'd all be speaking German, living under the flag of Japan, if it wasn't for the good Lord and the man. If it wasn't for the good Lord and the man. 'Cause he was one of the millions who signed up to defend us long ago in 1941. And when they sucker punched us in Pearl Harbor, he fought under MacArthur 17 with an Army Thompson gun.
Thank y'all. Let me sing that.
John Rich. That's terrific, John. Absolutely, absolutely terrific. I know that we're going to get letters from our viewers. Where can I find that right now? Have you recorded that?
I did, yeah. It's called The Good Lord and the Man. It's on iTunes. It never got on the radio because I think it's too accurate of a song, you know, if you know what I mean. But I play it every now and then. I'll just play it, and people just go. I wrote it, song I wrote all by myself about a month after he died. I wish I'd have written it while he was still alive, but
he heard it.
He heard it.
Yeah, he
heard it today.
Yeah, he was a tough dude. If it weren't for guys like that, this would not be the same place. And I think people don't appreciate that enough.
Amen.
You know, I think the same thing about great country artists, like sitting in this room that a lot of Joe and I were talking. We wish a lot more of the artists that are currently out with us knew whose shoulders they were standing on and why they get to make the music they make. And, you know, guys like you and the Opry and the miles that you guys, the light years that you crossed from when the Opry started to radio and platinum records and big tours and created something that did not exist before you guys. And that's a big deal. That's why it's an honor for guys like us, right, Phil, to be sitting in this room with the folks that paved the way that we're walking down right now. It's a big honor.
It's a beautiful thing for you to say. Thank you. And that's a beautiful song with a lot of heart and a lot of meaning. Everybody in the room stood up. We need to take a break on that. We'll be back with more Kicking Back right after this.
Hey, if you like that one, you're going to love this one. Or this one.